After Pyrrhus departed, the shadow of Rome only grew darker. The Greek world, fractured, proud, divided, still dazzled with brilliance, but beneath its marble beauty, cracks widened. Rome had learned from every encounter. Where once it bled, now it hardened. And when Rome hardened, nations shattered. By the middle of the 2nd century BC, Greece was no longer the empire of Alexander, but a patchwork of kingdoms and leagues. Macedonia, once the seat of power, struggled to hold its throne. The Aetolian and Achaean leagues feuded like brothers who forgot the enemy at the gate, and in that chaos Rome saw its chance. It began with Philip V of Macedon, who sought to rebuild Alexander's empire in the shadows of a fractured Greece. His ambitions alarmed the smaller Greek states and gave Rome its excuse. The First Macedonian War began, but it was the second that would decide the balance of power. At Cynocephalae in 197 BC, the Roman legions faced the famed Macedonian phalanx. For generations, the phalanx had been the terror of the battlefield, a wall of spears, unbreakable in its unity. But Rome's manipular legions, flexible, disciplined, deadly in close combat, found the phalanx's weakness. On rough ground, where order broke, the phalanx stumbled. Rome surged through the cracks, their short swords flashing in deadly arcs. The day ended not with phalanx glory, but with Roman steel standing over Greek spears. Still, Greece resisted. At Pydna in 168 BC, the last great Macedonian king Pyrrhus brought his full might against Rome. The earth shook with the clash of armies. The phalanx pressed forward, its spears bristling like a living hedge. But once again, the terrain betrayed them. As gaps opened, Roman legions slipped inside, cutting down soldiers who could no longer lower their spears. The phalanx collapsed, and with it, Macedon fell. The Roman triumph was brutal and deliberate. Pyrrhus was captured and paraded in chains through the streets of Rome, a living symbol of Greece's humiliation. Thousands of Macedonians were sold into slavery. For Rome, this was not merely victory, it was a message. Resist, and you will be broken. But Rome was not content with victory. Rome wanted obedience. In 146 BC, when Corinth defied the Republic, Rome answered with fire. The legions stormed the city, slaughtering thousands, enslaving the survivors. Flames consumed temples that had stood for centuries. Statues were torn from their pedestals, treasures carried across the sea to Italy. The smoke of Corinth was the funeral pyre of Greek independence. This was the Achaean War, the final gasp of Greek resistance. Corinth, once a beacon of wealth and art, was wiped from the map in a single day. Other cities surrendered without a fight. The proud experiment of the polis, of free city-states ruling themselves, was over. Greece was now a province, chained to Rome. And yet, in spirit, Greece did not die. Roman generals returned home with wagons full of Greek art. Roman senators quoted Plato and Aristotle in their speeches. Roman poets copied Homer line for line. Even their gods, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, bore the faces of Zeus, Ares, and Aphrodite. Rome had conquered Greece with the sword, but Greece had conquered Rome with the mind. It was the strangest of conquests, a nation defeated, yet victorious in culture, a people enslaved, yet immortal in thought. The teacher had fallen, but the lessons endured. Can you imagine being a Roman soldier, torching a Greek temple, while your own son back home learned Greek words from his tutor? Or a Greek philosopher forced into exile, watching the legions of his conqueror carry his books as trophies? The fall of Greece was not a single battle. It was 1,000 choices, pride, division, ambition, that left the door open for a hungrier, harder people. And when that hunger met the fading brilliance of Greece, the world itself changed. Rome's shadow had fallen across the Mediterranean. Greece, the teacher of the world, had lost its freedom. But its spirit, its ideas, its genius, that could not be burned or chained or silenced. Because history is more than empires. It is the echoes that live on when empires fall. And in that sense, Greece still stands. So I'll ask you, would you rather live free and divided like Greece, or united, disciplined, and unyielding like Rome? This was Rome vs. Greece, Part 2, The Fall of the Teacher. And if this story stirred something in you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Chronicle Vault, where legendary history should never be forgotten.